Audio Jungle.
Greetings and welcome to my channel. Today you're going to learn that Vlad Dracula was a type and shadow of the Apostle Paul, the self-proclaimed Apostle Paul. I teach type and shadow. This is how I understand the Bible, and this is how you can understand the Bible. God teaches through types and shadows. Now, Vlad Dracula, he was a defender of Christianity, okay? He is the Christian's hero, okay? He is popular for being the impaler. He impaled 20,000 Turks or Muslims. He was one of the most respected rulers of Wallachia. He also was credited for having kept the Muslim forces from the Ottoman Empire from dominating Europe. That is to say, to stop Islam from dominating Christianity, okay? Now, you're going to look at these clips I have from the Ottoman Empire. I suggest that you watch that movie. And I will be stopping and I will be showing you scene by scene these types and shadows, and I will be bringing out scriptures. Okay, let's go. To God. The cup represents communion, and the Apostle Paul is responsible for the teachings we have on communion. No other apostle has teachings on communion but Paul, even though they were the ones who had communion, supposedly, with Jesus. Now, the only other narrative we have is in the Gospels, and those Gospels came after the letters of Paul. And I believe that the Gospels were all shaped and framed by the letters of Paul. The Apostle Paul has his father's wife, just like Abner had his king's wife. All of them are from the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of the wolf. Amazingly, Paul has his father's concubine. All these churches you see with Jesus' name on them. Okay, these churches are not his because Jesus said, "This is my Father's house." So if they're his Father's house, then that means the Apostle Paul has his father's wife. Just like the tribe of Benjamin, they took a concubine, which represents the church, and they abused her all the night long. But there's coming a day that the day is going to spring when the teachings from the house of David, from Islam, is going to destroy the teachings of Saul, King Saul, the founder of Christianity. All right, let's go.
Destiny. My lovely wife.
The lovely wife is the church. Note, only Paul of all the apostles makes the connection. The church is the bride of Christ, in which he is the husband. It is not Jesus' church. It is God's church. And the Apostle Paul, he stole it. Now let's keep going.
And of course, you.
What do we have here? We have food. Who gave us the teachings that we can eat food sacrificed to idols as long as we do not offend our brothers? It is once again your boy, the Apostle Paul. Okay, Jesus told us that he has something against us. Okay, speaking of that church, preferably in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, that they were eating food sacrificed to idols. All right. They made an agreement in the book of Acts chapter 15 not to eat food sacrificed to idols. But once again, the Apostle Paul told us it's lawful because he is apparently the Shiloh of the New Testament. Let's keep going.
You scheming, backstabbing swine. You are the real enemy of Wallachia. Did you think I would forget how you betrayed my father and brother? How you conspired with my foes, growing fat and rich? Dimitri, make sure this lesson sticks with our guests.
Yes.
Each of the boyars and their wives are taken outside. They are impaled.
Who is the relationship killer of the New Testament? Jeremiah told us that we could have wives and build houses in the land of our captivity. God tells us to multiply and replenish and fill up the earth. But the Apostle Paul said it's best for the women, for the virgins, to remain single. Just like him, okay? He is the one who limited wives, okay? When God authorized multiple wives, the Apostle Paul comes along and he says it's not lawful for a man to have more than one wife, okay? Now let's keep going.
Unfortunately, we know a little bit too much about the mechanics of impalement. It's not pleasant.
I'll give you my ring.
It's a horrific method of execution. You take a stake that's not very sharp and you push it up the anus of the victim. And then you use a mallet, push it all the way up until it comes out of the shoulder.
Galatians 3:1. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you, that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth, crucified among you? The Apostle Paul was trying to make people believe that Jesus was crucified, even when they had doubts, even when they did not believe. You will see that he is the cause that the whole world is swept away in his strong delusion, in his own words. Let's keep going.
This is the time really when Vlad starts to get his reputation as Vlad the Impaler. And it's one of those names that does what it says on the tin. So this is part of his identity as a ruler, as well as a technique for maintaining control. If he can show that despite his size, he's the meanest kid on the block, even though there's bigger boys next door, they're not going to pick on him.
Let this be a warning to all of our enemies. I'll bend my knee for no one.
If you thoroughly study the Bible and the Apostle Paul's teachings, he is in direct opposition to the teachings of Islam. Him saying that he won't bow is also going into him not wanting to submit to Mehmet II, which is the Turkish name for Muhammad, but ultimately he is against the nation of Islam, despite his size, because he's only a man. He is only a man, and yet he has used Jesus as an armor bearer. He used Jesus as a shield. And the Bible speaks about Benjamin's mess being 5 times over. And what I have to tell you is that the Apostle Paul's mess, what he has done, is the hugest mess known to mankind. All right. The wolf in sheep clothing, here he is right here. Let's keep going.
You speak of homage. Yet I noticed that none of you had the courtesy to remove your hats.
But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Now, this is the Apostle Paul's teachings. And this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, 3 through 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. So look how exact this type and shadow is of Vlad Dracula in the Apostle Paul, because the Apostle Paul is the only teacher that taught us of a man covering his head is dishonoring Christ. Okay, this is right on. This is spot on. That teaching is false. That all came from the Apostle Paul. Let's keep going.
When you enter my court,
Prince, you spent years in our court. You know that the Ottoman culture forbids us from removing our hats in public.
But you're in my court now.
This is Paul's church. It don't belong to Jesus.
It seems we're at an impasse. But I have a solution. Mehmet can find a new ally. And you will never have to remove your hats again.
Now, you can search YouTube and you can look around and you'll see that nobody is bringing this out, that Paul has been killing the church with the cross using a tent peg. Paul was a jailer. Before he joined the church, he was binding all that called upon the name. Okay, he was a tent maker by trade, just like Jael. Okay, she killed Sisera with a tent peg in a tent, and she drove it through his temples. Now, Paul has been killing the churches. He's been killing the temples using a tent peg. Now, this is predominantly right now speaking of how God is angered at Christians taking Muslims and forcing Christianity on them. This is exactly what this is going into. And like I said, you can search, you can go around and you can look. Ain't nobody bringing this out, okay? The Apostle Paul has been killing the church with the cross, and this is seen right here in this movie, okay? This is the Ottoman Empire. He's killing the church with the cross, and he's converting even Muslims today. But let me tell you something. The house of Saul is getting weaker. I don't care how many Arabics confess Jesus Christ as Lord. The church is still losing. The house of Saul is getting smaller every day. And the house of David, which is the house of Islam, is growing stronger and stronger by the day.
It's time to end this. You came here to kill me? Here I am! The glory and renown you sought your entire life.
It's not glory I'm seeking, Megman. It's revenge.
I kept the wolves from your door for years!
Now, the house of David and the house of Saul are fighting right now. Okay, the house of Saul is Christianity. The house of David is Islam. Okay, these two religions have been fighting for a while. Okay, they've been fighting and there's been victories on both sides. There's been casualties on both sides. This is a picture of two religions fighting. Now, you notice the wolf on the screen. I did not put that there. And you notice what Mehmet II, the conqueror, said. He literally said, I kept the wolves off your doors for years. You're going to see that the Apostle Paul is the wolf in sheep clothing.
Protected you like a brother! Lies!
You took my brother and destroyed my family.
You are blind and a fool! But I will keep my promise and give you an honorable death.
How you did to my wife? It gives me some comfort knowing your wife is also dead.
Now we're going to see who is the real prophet. We're going to see who is the false prophet. Okay, I got a scripture. It's going to be 2 Samuel 3:6. And it came to pass while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of David. You see all these Christian churches everywhere. You got a lot of these people following in the footsteps of Paul. Paul is responsible for the popes. He's responsible for the nuns. And if you notice what he just said, he's talking about wives right now. Okay, he lying about wives. I got you. Here you have your boy Vlad Dracula lying about wives, just like he was lying about wives in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Okay, after we go through the history, because I want you to see why he is mad, we're going to connect him with the prison. Okay, and we'll come back to finding out who actually won this battle. That's going to take place in 1477. Okay, not right now, but we're going to come back to this and we're going to see who is the real prophet. Okay, the house of David or the house of Saul. Let's keep going.
No. Yes. And you will soon join her. Wallachia will be your grave.
I'll kill you.
Now we want to do a little history into Vlad Dracula's madness. And I told you I was going to connect him with prison. All right. So this is Paul's connection with prison. There were rumors circulating that Vlad II, that is Vlad's father, was in alliance with the Hungarians. So Mehmet, and we're speaking of Mehmet's father, okay, took his two sons hostage. This Vlad and his brother Radu were held captive. This is why Vlad Dracula hated Mehmet II and the Ottoman Empire, because he always claimed of being his prisoner. Now, I have plenty scriptures from Ephesians chapter 3, all the way through the book of Acts, where the Apostle Paul is constantly saying he's a prisoner of Jesus. He's a prisoner of the Lord. He speaks of his fellow prisoners. And a lot of y'all right now, y'all are his fellow prisoners, okay? Because y'all believe that garbage he speak. Y'all believe that garbage he teach, okay? So now we want to keep going so you can see the history of Mehmet II.
When his own father, Vlad II, was called before Mehmet's father, Sultan Murad II, amidst rumors that he joined the Hungarians and taken up arms against the Ottomans.
Sultan, I'm sorry to interrupt your hunt, but when I received your summons, I made all haste to reach you. You have been a most loyal friend and ally to me all these years.
I wish I could say the same of you.
Vlad Dracula.
There are some rumors of my alliance with the Hungarians in the coming crusade against you. But I can assure you they're only that, rumors.
The Hungarians are snakes and not to be trusted. If I go to war against you, take Salostad. I will kill you honorably, face to face. Not with a knife in the back.
Sultan, you must believe me.
What guarantee do I have that? You won't return home? With your tail between your legs? Only to join the infidels and take up arms against me.
As proof of my undying loyalty, I give you my most valued possessions. My sons, Vlad, and my youngest Radu.
Father, how can you do this?
Silence, boy!
Prince Vlad, Prince Radu. As Sultan, I accept your caretaking as my prisoners. From this moment forward, your loyalty will forever be to me. And one day, to my son, Mehmet. Should your father betray his oath, you will be executed.
Thank you, Sultan.
What's wrong, Mehmet?
We're going to do a quick recap on everything we went over. We went over how Paul is responsible for communion, Jesus being God, his revelation on eating food sacrificed to idols, his laws on marriage, and one of the most damnable, that Jesus was crucified. Okay. In John 13:26, Jesus answered, "He it is to whom I shall give a sup when I have dipped it." And when he had dipped the sup, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. Now, history teaches us that Vlad Dracula would have breakfast, at least on one instance for sure, with the impaled victims in front of him, and he would dip his morsel of food inside of the victim's blood and eat his meal gladly. Okay, so that is going into the false teachings, because we know that bread represents the word of God. Okay, and he gave us the bloody religion. Okay, also we established the fact that there's been war between Christianity and Islam for centuries. It's been a long war, and it's still ongoing. We made the connection of Paul being a prisoner of Jesus Christ, and how Vlad Dracula hated Mehmet II because he felt like he was his prisoner, even though the man took care of his brothers. Okay, he was biting the hand that fed him, just like the Apostle Paul. Okay, think about it. He wants you to chew Jesus' bread as a figure of his body. Come on now. Now we going over how the war is going long, and now we're going to find out who is the real prophet. Who is the real prophet? Also, keep note that the women in Islam are not prisoners. Okay, the women in Islam could speak. They can have a platform. They can share their faith. Unlike Paul dominating the woman, telling the woman they can't speak, they can't say nothing in the church. All these old damnable heresies. The women of Islam are more like mother figures. Okay, they dress better. Okay, they are more discreet. Okay, the nation of Islam's women is on a higher standard than most women. You just got to keep it real. Okay, let's just keep it real. Now let's just keep watching.
You must let this obsession go. You won. Vlad is on the throne. Your wife and son are safe.
And Vlad Dracula is...
He is nothing but a disgraced prince with no throne and no power.
Damn.
I cannot rest until he pays for what he did to Hamza Bey and the others. I swore an oath.
You won great victories in Anatolia, the Mediterranean, Europe. This city is a reflection of your vision. Rome is within your grasp, but you must put Vlad behind you. Your destiny lies elsewhere.
Let me not then die ingloriously and without a struggle, but let me first do some great thing.
That shall be told among men hereafter.
Second Samuel chapter 3 and 1. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But the house of David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Now we finna see who is the real prophet. Now you got to keep in mind, the prophet, peace be upon him, Muhammad, already said that someone was going to conquer Constantinople. And Mehmet II is walking in that prophecy, okay? Mehmet II told Dracula, okay, that he was going to kill him. But Dracula said he was going to kill Mehmet II. So let's see who has real prophecies, because I'm so sick and tired of Israelite camps saying that Quran has no prophecy, Islam has no prophecy. No, we have real prophecy, okay? We have real prophecy. And now we're going to see what is the end of the house of Saul. Because the house of Saul is getting weaker, especially after we take down the Apostle Paul. Once we destroy the teachings from the Apostle Paul, all the nations are going to come in to the house of David. Now let's get that.
Mehmet finally meets Vlad Dracula face to face one last time in 1477 at the ancient walls of Constantinople.
Now, who got the prophecy? The house of David has the prophecy. The scriptures say in Genesis 49:10 that the scepter shall be passed from Judah unto Shiloh. Now look at him. Right next to the stone that the builders rejected. Saul was beheaded, King Saul. Ishbosheth was beheaded. Goliath was beheaded. All these are types of Paul. Now history even tells us that the Apostle Paul was beheaded, okay? That is the tradition of the Catholic Church, is that the Apostle Paul was beheaded. Let me tell you something. The house of Saul is no match for the house of David. And there you have the type and shadow. History simply repeats itself.